Good morning. We will start session 2 on chapter Materials, Metals and Non-Metals. So in this chapter, in the previous session, we understood about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. So what do you mean by physical properties? Physical properties are something which gives us the physical appearance, the outer look, how the metal or non-metal will look like, what are their qualities that we discussed. Now in chemical properties, we will discuss about what happens when metals react, or metals or non-metals react with water, react with oxygen, react with acid, react with base, etc. So these will all come under their chemical properties. That is, what are the changes in their chemical composition when these metals undergo or they react with other materials. So we first start with reaction with oxygen. Basically children, here in this chapter metals and non-metals, we will be only studying about the word equation. Now what do you mean by word equation? You will have no idea about the chemical name or the name of the chemical compound, formula, in formula how do we write it. So here we only understand with the word equation. Detailedly about this metals and non-metals, again you will study in standard 10, where you study about the chemical equations also and how to balance these chemical equations as well. So metals react with oxygen to give metal oxide. You can say this is the formula. Whenever a given metal is reacting with oxygen, what will you get? Metal oxide, or we also call that as a metallic oxide. Some points are in the notes I have mentioned it briefly. I want you all to even make a note of this whatever I have written on the board, right? Metals plus oxygen will give you metal oxide or metallic oxide. Let's see some example. Now, first of all, let us name some metals, children. So, what all metals come to your mind? Calcium, iron, aluminium, copper, zinc, magnesium, sodium, potassium, gold, silver, platinum, all these are metals, right? That means, do all the metals react with oxygen to give metal oxide? Almost, I can say, not all. Why? I'll come to it. For example, I have just taken few metals. Take any metal, children. Your work becomes very simple here because you are writing the word equation. You are not writing the formula. Any random metal given to you. I have not written zinc. If I ask you, what happens when zinc reacts with oxygen? What should be your answer? Zinc oxide. What happens when I have written iron, magnesium, sodium reacts with oxygen? Your answer should be sodium oxide. Remember that. Metal oxide. Put the name of the metal and just write oxide against it. And that is suffix it, right? Copper plus oxygen will give you copper oxide. Magnesium plus oxygen will give you magnesium oxide. Iron plus oxygen will give you iron oxide. Aluminium plus oxygen will give you aluminium oxide. Very simple as that. Now here let me give you some more additional information. When we talk about magnesium plus oxygen, now actually magnesium comes as a form of a ribbon. You all have seen how the ribbon is, right? It comes as a form of a strip in the form of a ribbon. It is reacting with oxygen means, do you know what actually? We are burning magnesium in the presence of oxygen, right? So when you take a magnesium strip and hold it in the fire, candle, right? For some time, magnesium ribbon starts burning with a dazzling flame. You all have played with those firecrackers during Diwali's, Ganesh Chaturthis and all, right? So how does that burn? That burns with a dazzling flame, what we say. And it produces ash, a grey color ash, what we can say. That grey color ash is nothing but a magnesium oxide. Similarly, copper, when we burn, we get copper oxide. That is a black color powder, blackish powder, what you say here. You all have these experiments to be conducted in your 10th standard. Iron reacts with oxygen, forms iron oxide. Everybody will have seen this, which is nothing but as rust. You have anything made out of iron which is exposed. You need not even burn, children, sometimes. Sometimes the metals are so reactive that now you have your window railings. You have so many things in your home made out of iron. If it is just exposed outside, rain, water, wind, moist, etc., what happens to that iron? That actually catches rust, right? So if you just scrape it, you get a reddish or a brownish color powder. That is actually called as rust, which is nothing but iron oxide. What is rust? It is iron oxide. What is iron oxide? Iron oxide is nothing but rust. Similarly, aluminium plus oxygen will also give you aluminium oxide. That means any metal when exposed to air, some metals will have to will have to undergo certain things. For example, magnesium, as I told you, we have to burn that. But usually metals, what happens, when it is exposed to air, it coats one layer of metal oxide against it. Let us take copper. You all have seen copper vessels, utensils at home. So the copper is not used for a very long period of time. What happens to copper? There is a greenish blue coating on the copper, correct? Which is nothing but a layer of a copper hydroxide due to the formation of copper carbonate. That greenish blue color, what is there, right? That is copper carbonate actually. That is what? Here we will only understand metal plus oxygen, metal oxide. We can go much depth in this part, but in your 10th grade we will study it. So any metal when it is exposed to moist air, oxygen, that is air when we talk about. Oxygen is nothing but air, children, remember. I can also tell that what happens when a metal reacts with air, it is understood as oxygen. It will give its metal oxide. Very clear? Sodium, when I talk about, sodium reacts with oxygen to give sodium oxide, and it is a very reactive metal. We will see that later. All metal oxides, that is metallic oxides, are basic in nature. Now what is this term basic and acidic? In 7th standard also you studied about acid, bases and salt. So what are acids, what are base, you know. Acid will turn blue litmus to red, base will turn red litmus to blue. You all know that, I need not explain anything much about it, right? Litmus paper test. So all these metallic oxides are basic in nature. Now how do we know that they are basic in nature? One or two examples are given in the notes as well as in your textbook. Now what we are supposed to do is, let us take iron oxide. Now iron oxide is nothing but rust. Let us collect some rust, right? We'll scrape it out from the old thing which is available. We will get some rust in the form of a powder. Dissolve that powder in water. It's highly impossible. You cannot dissolve rust because it will float on water. But still some content or some part of it will try getting mixing with water, not dissolve, okay? That rust particle will be floating in water, but still it gets mixed with water, that I can tell you. Then what we will do is, we will take a red litmus paper. So if this is your water, and right, so these are the particles of rust which I have put it in the water. Now I will take a red litmus paper and I will dip this in the solution. That red litmus paper will turn blue, right? Like that, if I take anything here, take magnesium. Magnesium oxide is nothing but ash, children. Not any ash what you get, magnesium oxide is ash only. It is formed in the form of a powdered ash what we get. That when I mix in water and dissolve it, and if I take a red litmus paper and dip in that red litmus will turn blue. That is why we can conclude saying that metallic oxides are basic in nature. Very clear? That's what I have written here is, litmus paper test turns red litmus to blue. To test this, metal oxide plus water, when we add, what do we get? See, when for example if I take a lemon and squeeze in water, so I will get lemon water, but actually what do I get? I get a lemonade, right? So we name that something. If I take sugar and dissolve in water, will I tell this is sugar and water? I will tell this is sugar solution. There is a name for a particular thing. Similarly, whenever this metal oxides, any metal oxides you dissolve in water or you mix in water, the byproduct formed. Remember, whenever reaction has to happen, there are two reactants which will combine together to give one byproduct. Metal oxide, let me take this iron. and sorry, let me take iron oxide, metal oxide. I will mix that in water. What do I get in result? I get metal hydroxide. Remember, whenever metal oxide is mixed with water, reacts with water, you get metal hydroxide. Main thing is your job here, children, is to remember the formula. You need not write the chemical equations here. Word equations is enough. Any equation if I give you. If I ask you randomly now, aluminium oxide plus water, what will you get? Aluminium hydroxide. I have written calcium, I have written magnesium, I have written iron. Sodium oxide plus water, what do I get? Sodium hydroxide. Potassium oxide plus water, what do I get? Potassium hydroxide. Zinc oxide plus water, zinc hydroxide. Now understood the technique here? Any metal oxide reacting with water will give you its respective hydroxide. Okay? Let's see some example. And these metal hydroxides are basic. That's what? Metallic oxide are basic. How do we check the basic or acidic property? Only when they are in the aqueous solution. What do you mean by aqueous solution? Aqueous solution is something which is mixed with water. Okay? Directly assume that I have magnesium oxide in my hand. Okay? It's an ash. I will take a litmus paper and I will dip that litmus paper in the ash and check. There is no change in the litmus paper. I will take rust, right? Rust powder. I will take a litmus paper. I will dip that litmus paper in that and check. There is no change in the litmus paper, children. Remember, acidic and basic properties are only identified in the aqueous solution. That means it should be in the water form. Only then, right? So, when we dissolve this in water, mix in water, we get the respective hydroxide. Only at that time we can check the acidic or basic property. Understood my point? If I give you dry rust, you can't check the acidic or basic. It works out only when it is reacting with water. So, I repeat the whole thing once again. Metal plus oxygen will give you metal oxide. So these metal oxides are basic in nature. To test that, these metal oxides will react further with water to give its respective hydroxide, metal hydroxide. Magnesium oxide plus water, magnesium hydroxide, basic in nature. Calcium oxide plus water, calcium hydroxide, basic in nature. Iron oxide, rust plus water, iron hydroxide, basic in nature. Sodium oxide plus water, sodium hydroxide. Potassium oxide plus water, potassium hydroxide. Aluminium oxide plus water, aluminium hydroxide. Yes, everything will give the same. Let us know some common names here, children. Calcium oxide is also called as quicklime. Don't get confused with the lime, okay? That lemon is different, lime is different. This calcium oxide, when we mixed in water, we get calcium hydroxide, which is called as a slaked lime. We all know what is slaked lime actually, which is nothing but whitewash. What is this whitewash? Sometimes we give a whitewash to the walls, compound. Yes, that is nothing but slaked lime. This quicklime when mixed with water gives us slaked lime, which is nothing but a whitewash. I think the whole concept is very clear. Okay, let us come to some exception point here. Now, as I told, metals react with oxygen. Do all the metals react? If then, will the ornaments what you wear, gold reacts with oxygen, silver reacts with oxygen, platinum reacts with oxygen? No. These metals do not react with oxygen at all, right? Otherwise, you wear gold ornaments, after a few days that will catch rust. Not possible, right? So, there are also some metals which will not react with oxygen. Which are those? Gold will not react. We know them. We wear them, right? Silver will not react. Then platinum will not react. These metals do not react with oxygen. Now, you can ask me why they do not react with oxygen. Actually, there is a concept called as a metal reactivity series. You study that in 10th standard, children. Now, we have a list of metals. Which metal is placed in the first, which metal is placed second, and so on, where in that seating arrangement of the metals, there are some metals which come on the topmost category and some metals which come in the bottom category. Only because bottom category metals, that is gold, silver, platinum, they do not show any reactions. That's only the reason. So gold, silver, platinum do not show any reaction. But there are some metals which are very reactive. For example, sodium and potassium. So sodium and potassium are the highly reactive metal. Now just imagine, I'll tell you, take this iron, hold in your hand, we can see something, reaction. Quite possible. Magnesium ribbon, you can just cut it and hold it in the fire, it will burn with a dazzling flame, right? But sodium, if I give a piece of sodium in your hand, let us try the reaction. You know what will happen? It's a very vigorously reaction will happen. It will catch fire immediately. Very dangerous. Your hand also might corrode with that, including potassium, right? Do you remember me telling that? Sodium and potassium are the very soft metal, right? You can even cut them with a knife. And they are stored in kerosene. Why is that we store sodium and potassium in kerosene? Why not? We can just keep them as we keep copper, magnesium, iron, just in the lab like that. Only because it is a highly reactive metal. It reacts with oxygen vigorously. The minute you take the sodium out, it can react with oxygen and can catch fire also. So to keep it in the safe condition, we always keep sodium and potassium in kerosene. Remember this. Okay. So this is about reaction of metal with oxygen. So we understood its properties, everything. Now let us see what will happen when a non-metal will react with oxygen. Now let us see reaction, that is when a non-metal reacts with oxygen, it will also give you a non-metal oxide, right? Very few examples I have taken here. Let us take a sulfur, which is a non-metal, react with oxygen, gives sulfur dioxide. Carbon reacts with oxygen, we all know it is a carbon dioxide. So any non-metal reacting with oxygen will give its respective dioxide. Okay. So again, hydrogen reacting with oxygen will actually give you what? Will actually give you water. That you know. But that's again a different concept. So these non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. A very important question, children. Metallic oxides are basic in nature. We have just studied now. Non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Now how to test? Now for example, if I take sulfur dioxide and check, I will not get any result. How to check the acidic and basic part of a given metal or a non-metal or its respective oxides? How to check whether it is an acidic or basic? It can be only checked when it is in the aqueous form. Remember this one thing. Dry things will not give you the result whether it is acid or a base. Only if it is in wet form. Aqueous form is watery form, right? Remember that. We will get our result. So this non-metal oxide is reacted further with what? Water. What it will give you? So this litmus test paper, when we check this, blue litmus will turn red. That you know. To test, non-metal oxide plus water will give its respective non-metallic acid. Now what is that? Carbon dioxide plus water. This carbon dioxide, what is formed? I will pass it with water, react it with water. I get carbonic acid. Sulfur dioxide with water, I get sulfurous acid. Children, sulfurous acid is different from sulfuric acid. Sulfurous acid is formed when sulfur dioxide is reacting with water. Sulfuric acid is formed when sulfur trioxide is reacting with water. How sulfur trioxide is formed? You don't study that in your syllabuses. You study that in 10th. But remember, sulfuric and sulfurous are both different terms. Okay, let's come back to this. Carbon dioxide plus water is carbonic acid. Do you know what is carbonic acid? In all the aerated drinks what we drink, your whatever you name it, Mountain Dew, your Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Thumbs Up, any aerated drinks, any soda drinks what you drink, that consists of a carbonic acid, right? Now sulfurous acid, we know that again sulfurous, sulfuric acid later, which is used in many of the different reagents what we use. This is the reaction when a non-metallic oxide when a non-metal reacts with oxygen, which gives non-metal oxide. Non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. How to test that? When this non-metallic oxides react with water, it will give its respective non-metallic acid. Carbon dioxide and water, carbonic acid. Sulfur dioxide and water, sulfurous acid. Now let us see the next reaction, what happens when these metals and non-metals will react with water. What reactions it will show. Will all metals react or will the non-metals also react? Let us see that. Let us next understand what happens when metals or non-metals react with water. Metal plus water will give you metal oxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. That means whenever a metal will react with water, it will give its respective oxide. Along with that, hydrogen gas is also liberated. This arrow mark represents the gas is liberated. I will written one more equation, children. Again, metal plus water will also give you metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. Now, how is it possible? Whether a same metal will give you metal oxide as well as hydroxide? No. Depends upon what type of water it is reacting with. For example, if a metal is reacting with steam. Now what is steam? Steam is again water only. When water boils to 100 degrees Celsius, it forms steam, right? So this red hot steam what we talk about. When this steam is passed over metals, how do we do that? Quite complicated process which can be only done in the laboratories or in the specific laboratories where this tests are meant to be done. So when a metal is exposed to red hot steam we'll talk about. Red hot steam is also water. Only in that condition we get metal oxide, hydrogen gas liberated. But if a metal is reacting with hot water, now what is hot? Hot water. What is cold water? Cold water is not a ice cold refrigerated water. Normal water, that is called as a cold water. So if a metal is reacting with hot and cold water, we get metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Now why is that like that? It is a property of a metal. Some metals when exposed to water itself, immediately reaction will start. Some metals require a high temperature, that it has to reach the peak point, only then it will start reacting. For example, if you take calcium, if I just take calcium and if calcium is exposed to water, I get calcium hydroxide. What is that calcium hydroxide? We all know, slate lime, whitewash what we call. Along with that, hydrogen gas is liberated. Simple children, when we do this reaction, if you take calcium, mix it in water and just hold the beaker, you can feel the beaker is warm. That means along with hydrogen gas, I can also say that heat is also liberated, right? You take this calcium, mix it in water in the beaker. Of course, equal proportion will be told to you, and hold the beaker. You can feel the beaker has turned warm, right? Heat is liberated. Not enormous amount of heat, but little heat which you can tolerate. You can hold it. You feel it warm. But the same when you check with sodium reacting with water. See, sodium is, that is why I can tell, sodium is so vigorous and reactive, just exposed to cold water only. It will form sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas, and enormous amount of heat is liberated. There's a thing, experiment, when we take a piece of a sodium, small piece of sodium and put it in water, it produces hiss sound. That means it just moves vigorously in the water. That means it is so very much reactive. Just for an example, if I tell you, take a Mentos and put that in any of your aerated drink, what happens? Suddenly the gas generated and it just pops everything up, right? Assuming how it can happen, that is just mild. Imagine that reaction happening vigorously. Excuse me. Yeah, so that reaction of your pentose and aerated drink will happen. Slight, not vigorous, but when you try that with a small piece of a sodium in water, it's a very vigorous reaction. It can also catch fire sometimes. We need to be very careful when we are using sodium in our laboratories also. And that releases enormous amount of heat. That means just look at the metal property. Very slight water also, any given water, it will react. But when I take magnesium and if I just give a normal water, there is no reaction found only in the magnesium. That means magnesium will only react if it is hot water. I get magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen. Take iron. Iron will not react with hot water at all. It will react only with steam, iron oxide and hydrogen. Now this is a bit in depth I have gone and I have given you this. Now in your book actually if you go to see, you only have metals react with water to give metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. But this is a bit in detailed information. But do not worry, in your examination point of view, they will not ask you in depth thing about what type of water, which metal or anything. They might only ask you metal reacting with water gives a metal hydroxide, or one or two which is only given in your book, right? You study again about these things in detail in your 10th standard. So now understood why the sodium and potassium are highly reactive. Now even in the metal reactivity series children, we have placed metal. The first, or you can say the first rank in the metal goes to potassium. After potassium comes sodium. It's like that how we arrange the metals. Are all metals will react with water? Of course not. Will your gold react with water? No again. Will silver react with water? No. Will platinum react with water? No. If they would react, then we would not wear them as a jewelries, right? Now we wear artificial jewelry sometimes. When it is exposed to water for a very long period of time, they fade, they worn out, correct? But not the question with gold, silver or platinum. Then, with what will this gold, silver and platinum actually react? Yes, we'll see that further. Let us check about non-metals reacting with water. Non-metals have no reaction with water. If I ask you, what happens when carbon reacts with water? Sometimes to confuse you all, the question is asked like this. Give the word equation when a carbon reacts with water. You should know that carbon is a non-metal and non-metal will have no reaction with water. Just to confuse you all. What happens when hydrogen reacts with water? No reaction. What happens when nitrogen reacts with water? No reaction, because non-metals do not react with water and there is no exception in that. Let's see the next chemical property. Now next we will study that what happens when it reacts with acids. So metals generally react with acid to form salt and hydrogen gas. So the main thing everywhere here children, I have given you all the main formula. Remember the main formula, that's more than enough to remember any word equations, because you are not writing chemical equations here. Chemically formula wise you are not writing, you are only writing word equations. So things should be very simple with you. Copper plus hydrochloric acid will give you anything reacting with hydrochloric acid will give its respective chloride. Okay, copper chloride plus hydrogen gas. I have just taken two acids because in your book also you have only two acids. Whenever it reacts, any metal reacting with hydrochloric acid will give its respective chloride. Any metal reacting with sulfuric acid will give its respective sulfate. Magnesium plus sulfuric acid, magnesium sulfate. Example, iron plus sulfuric acid, iron sulfate. Iron plus hydrochloric acid, iron chloride. We actually call that as a ferric chloride. Okay. Remember, with hydrochloric acid, metal chloride. With sulfuric acid, metal sulfate. That's all what you have to remember here. Nothing much. Now again, will all the metals react? It again differs. There are certain metals which will not react. Now we know that gold will not react with acids, right? Silver will not react again. Platinum will not react again. Then what is it actually gold, silver or platinum might react? there is a particular type of a liquid or a particular type of a solution which is called as a aqua regia solution, also known as holy water sometimes by Greek. Aqua regia is a solution which is made up of the combination of hydrochloric acid and concentrated nitric acid in the ratio 3:1. That means when you take hydrochloric acid and concentrated nitric acid in the ratio 3:1, any gold ornament which goes into it can actually melt the gold and platinum, right? Now, if you remember, you have your gold ornaments, jewelries, right? Sometimes you go to a goldsmith telling that these are actually very old ones and it has, the shine of this gold has gone, the luster has gone. So can you please polish this and give it to me? There is much of dirt, things and all. Even we tried, usually what we do at home, there is something, powder or something what we get, we just clean our gold ornaments with that, right? So what do goldsmiths do? They, when you give it to them, it naturally comes out as a fresh new gold jewelry. What actually happens there is, they use a part of this aqua regia solution. They do not melt your gold actually. Your gold is not melted. But what happens here is, the impurities, the small, a particular layer of the part is actually removed. See, generally when it might, your milligrams to milligrams might reduce in that, not actually your gold is reduced. But this thing is used to remove the, what you can say is impurities which is there on that, or generally what you can say is, this is a liquid which can actually melt your gold, right? Not in your syllabus children, but just an information what I thought of giving you, because in the whole chapter we went on telling that gold, silver, platinum have no reaction with anything, just to make sure that they also react. That is nothing but in aqua regia solution. Next, reaction with base. Metal react with, now we understood when they react with acid what happens. What happens when they react with base? Again same thing. Metal react with base to give salt and hydrogen. I'll tell you all this what we are studying, we study in depth again, once again in your standard depth. Example, zinc plus sodium hydroxide will give you sodium zincate and hydrogen. Names to remember, that's all children here. Aluminium plus sodium hydroxide will give you sodium aluminate and hydrogen gases liberated. There is much things to know about sodium, about zinc and aluminium reacting with base. But here we only understand that what happens when a metal reacts with base, what happens when an acid reacts with base. They both will give you salt and hydrogen, respective metal, salt and hydrogen, respective metal, salt and hydrogen here. Next part, non-metal reacting with base. Now, one more thing I forgot here children. Non-metal reacting with acid, there is no reaction. There is no non-metal which can react with acid. No reaction is formed. Carbon reacting with hydrochloric acid, what will happen? No reaction. Or hydrogen reacting with sulfuric acid, no reaction formed. That you have to remember. So we understood what happens when a metal react with base. Now let us see what will happen when a non-metal react with base. Non-metal reacting with base also will give you salt and hydrogen, but that is a complex reaction which you will study in standard 10th, right? So here what let us understand that reaction with acid. Metal react with acid, salt and water. Non-metal react with acid, no reaction. Metal react with base, salt and hydrogen. Non-metal react with base will also give you salt and hydrogen, but in the complex form that you will actually study in standard 10th. Now the last part, which is displacement reaction. And the last one, displacement reaction. The name itself will tell us what is displacement, displacing something. Now let us imagine that you have some race in your school, a sprint, a relay or something going on. Whom can you displace children? I mean, whom can you displace? Can you displace a player who is less weak than you, or who can displace a player who is more stronger than you? Correct? You can always displace a player who is weaker than you. How can you displace a player who is more stronger than you? Not possible. Now again, that is different. If you put efforts and all, like, of course, secondary. But still, usually we can displace something which is lesser reactive. We can take their position. Similarly here, a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal in a reaction. Such a reaction is called as a displacement reaction. So what happens basically, if I give you an example, if I take a solution of, say the solution is of a copper sulfate, okay, and I dip some iron nails in this. Now, you might be wondering, because at home when we bring copper utensils, it is brown in color, right? But actually copper sulfate crystals are blue color, right? So when you dissolve this copper sulfate, how do you dissolve it? We just mix it with water and dissolve. That means now this is a blue color solution. When we talk, there are so many metals, children. If you go to your laboratory, you can see zinc metal. When we talk about zinc granules, what we get. Have you seen silver, how it will be? Not exactly, small pieces of silver, what you can see. Zinc granules are silver color in silver color form. Copper sulfate are blue color form, right? They are like a blue crystals actually. So this is the blue color solution, copper sulfate solution. I will dip 1 or 2 iron nails in them, okay? After some time, what I see that is, here this iron displaces copper. That means this blue color disappears actually and it takes a different color solution, what you can see. So iron can displace copper and it can make iron sulfate and copper is formed. Copper sulfate plus iron will give you iron sulfate and copper. That is, iron can displace copper and mix with this, form a sulfate, form a salt, and copper is obtained. Copper sulfate solution and zinc, if I take here, zinc can replace copper and I get zinc sulfate and copper is obtained. One more reaction. If I take a zinc sulfate solution and I dip some copper in that, do you think I will get copper sulfate and zinc is formed? No. There is no reaction formed because here zinc is stronger than copper. If zinc is stronger than copper, how can I replace it? I cannot replace it. Now how do I know which is stronger and which is lighter? So remember I just told you something about reactivity series. You study that in standard 10th. This is how children metals are placed in the reactivity series. The topmost is potassium. These are the symbols. You study them later. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, lead, hydrogen, copper, mercury, silver, gold, platinum. Right? Can you see the ranking now? If I see here, this is first, second, third, fourth. Okay. Now in this series, zinc is here, copper is here. Can you look at the series and tell me which is more stronger? Zinc is more stronger than copper, right? When I am using zinc sulfate and copper, how can copper replace zinc? Not possible. Instead of copper, if I use what you can say aluminium, can it replace? Yes. Instead of aluminium, if I use magnesium, see I am using anything above this, can it replace? Yes. So that means always a more reactive metal displaces a lesser reactive metal. So that is the reaction called as a displacement reaction. What will happen here? Metal A, okay, I have written this here. Metal A plus salt solution of a metal B will give you salt solution of metal A plus metal B is obtained. Same reaction what I have written, I have given this. So this is displacement reaction. You only have very little information in this. So let's remember the definition and few examples. If you remember this one, children, it is actually very simple for you. That is how to remember this on which reaction will take place, which is more or less reactive. So If possible, just try to remember this, or you have one or two very few equations given in your book as well as the examples, what you can understand, right? So metal A plus salt of metal B will give you salt of metal A and metal B is obtained. That is something called as displacement reaction. If I place here, for example, silver here, it will not react because silver is less reactive. That is what? Simple, you have to know. This series, if you know here, which will react and which will not react, you will come to know very easily. So with this, we complete the chapter materials, metals and non-metals. So in this chapter, we understood the physical properties of metals and non-metals and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So in physical properties, we understood about its appearance and looks. In chemical properties, we understood about the chemical composition, how it changes when it reacts with water, oxygen, acid, base and yeah, that's all. When it reacts with oxygen, water, acid, base. Sometimes when we talk about acid and base, there is also dilute and concentrated. You will study that later, children. So any doubt in this chapter, you can call me once the video is set.